Yeah, no, it was a wonderful film and well and wonderfully done. And I love the character portraits as well in this, or even the smaller characters around the king.
Yeah. I must say the casting was excellent. I know I've said this in some of our other videos, but Colin Firth, you're on to a winner anyway. I wouldn't have any.
Did he get an Oscar for this one?
Yes, he did. In fact, if I remember right, I forget what the exact distribution was, but this film did so well. I think it was nominated at least 10 Oscars. It might have been 12. I'll have to, but I know it definitely won 4 Oscars for
Yeah.
various things.
I'm also I'm constantly impressed by Jeffrey Ross as well. He's so versatile. When you think about different roles you've seen him in, and sometimes you don't even notice it's him. Sometimes I watch a movie and you go, "Who's that actor again?" Oh my God, it's Jeffrey Ross.
Oh yes, he carries different personalities so well because when I watched The King's Speech, the last thing I'd seen him in was it is him in Pirates of the Caribbean, isn't it? Yeah, yeah. I know, of course, Barbossa's very different to Logue, and but yes, he was amazing in this. I love how he's one of those actors who's so good at conveying really deep feeling while he's also playing a character who's really reserved.
Yes.
He's such an ace at that.
Yes. And that those little funny moments of banter they have between them, it's such a wonderful dynamic between the two of them. Especially, I think when they're rehearsing the coronation, and he's saying, I'm just gonna go up and to hear how this gonna sound in the back. Keep going, keep going." And I think the king has like three or four lines he have to say during the coronation. I can't hear you louder.
Oh yes, they're perfect, isn't it? Yeah, doesn't he sit in the throne at one point and get told off for his lack of respect?
Just share. That's fine.
And the swearing. I love the swearing scene where it's just that moment where George Bertie gets a bit fed up. Shut fuck all over your doorsteps. And,
I love that moment during the actual radio speech where Lionel is miming. There is a tiny moment where he's miming it to him. I love that little because he's in a way he's just it's not so much the use of the word in a way he's just using speech techniques in that moment. He's kind of trying to say, okay, do this, do that, pause there, dance here, do such and such, through the
Yes. Yeah, and it's just so beautifully done. I think that's the other thing about the two amazing actors working together. Everything from the speech to the body language to their friendship is so believable. And I know that's sort of what actors should do, but I'm pretty convinced that Firth and Rush they take it to a whole new level.
and they're two actors who kind of get better together because they bounce off each other. Uh,
Yes.
and I think another one we have to mention is Helena Bonham Carter, who's always good as well, and she's been the supportive wife, but she's also very much holding her own in this. And I like that we get to see that side of the character, that she's not just the supportive or worried wife, that she has her own as well, and she's the one who gets him in touch with Lionel Logue.
Yes, 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 actually they both owe her a great deal. And yes, she the genuine concern and interest in her husband's life always shows me. I do love the scene where he's doing the breathing exercise where she's having to sit on his tummy and she's going, oh, this is quite fun.
And up goes Her Royal Highness and down.
Yes.
You're all right, Bertie. Yes.
It's just so beautifully done.
Really, but they must have had a great time doing that. They really, really.
Yes. And
Yeah.
just the incongruity of royal dignity with utter, it's just laughable. But it's such a brilliant moment. It's another of my favorites.
Some wonderful, wonderful scenes of that, though. It's really great. It's really great. Uh,
I did like, I know she only has a really, really tiny part, but I thought it was really great that Jennifer Eel
yes.
plays Myrtle Logue because I don't know if they'd worked together since making Pride and Prejudice, but that must have been a nice reunion, if
Yes.
not for Colin and Jennifer. And
They're great actors, both of them. But it must have been a fun little thing. And she was actually really great in that role as well, because you see the family, the Logue family dynamic a bit as well. Also his relationship with his boys there, uh,
yeah.
which is
The
really,
model making bit's
yeah.
really beautiful, and I like how Logue carries it over into, inviting Bertie to have a go at it.
And he's using that, and also the family sort of, they accept the fact that he loved this amateur actor thing, but they're also maybe laughing a bit at him sometimes, or his boys are, and yet at the same time they sort of understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, yeah, they do. It,
That's lovely.
yeah. Uh,
I was
oh,
wondering, Andrew, sorry if I'm changing the script a little bit here, but do you ever find, going back to the speech thing, do you have words that you will forever struggle with? Because I sometimes feel, even in my, I mean, I'm now communicating in my second language, where I will probably always struggle a bit, but and people especially struggling to understand me. But I was thinking the other day, I have words in my own language where I constantly, before I say them, have to just pause and think. Not maybe so much about whether or not I pronounce it correctly, but more in a kind of is this the right word to use in this context kind of thing. Do you ever find that?
yeah, yes, I do. And first, I just want to say that most people watching would never know English was your
Oh,
second language. So, in fact, I didn't know when I first met you. So,
too
yeah,
kind.
I do it with names, particularly if I'm discussing a group of people, and I have to be so careful because if I'm in mid-flow and I've got two people in mind, there's a 50-50 chance I will throw the wrong name out, and that can get a bit awkward. And I do it when I'm actually greeting people as well. It's like if there's someone in a team I've worked with and I know two or more people in that team, I'll always chuck the wrong name out. Or even worse, I'll forget completely. I mean, yesterday at work, I forgot the name of someone I've known for 15 years while I was trying to introduce them to someone else. That was a bit of an awkward moment. Uh,
You know,
like all concerned were very forgiving, but yes, names are my downfall.
you know what I sometimes do when I have to introduce people, and that brief moment where someone whose name you say every day, it just slips you, and,
Yes.
and you go, and this is our technical support guy, who's I use their title instead. And this is our curator, who's
I'm so glad I'm not the only person who does this because, yeah, even if I have the correct name to hand, I know what you mean. I do a sort of Bertie-esque thing where I have to kind of rock myself into it because for some odd reason, my name, see, I'm doing it already. My brain might take a name like Jane, and then just as I'm about to say it, it'd be like, oh no, that word is far too difficult. I couldn't possibly say it. I mean, it's Jane. Yes, you, hello.
And then you overcompensate by doing a very enthusiastic hello. Oh my God, hello, you're here.
Yes.
You person, you.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Or the other day, I overcompensate by using the name repeatedly so that I haven't forgotten what your name is, just to reassure you, Bob. Are you all right, Bob? Yes. Thanks for doing that work, Bob. Appreciate it, Bob. Good to see you, Bob. Goodbye, Bob.
You know Bob.
Yes.
Yes, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I sometimes use it. I sometimes find I have a problem with either words I don't use a lot, or words that are spelled completely differently from how you pronounce them.
Yeah.
I sometimes have to say the word in or when do you sometimes find that when you write a word that's spelled differently, you pronounce it the way you write it, like Wednesday. Do you sometimes find you do that?
Oh, yeah, yes, that catches me too. Yes, yes, I do. And actually, I really got to, guys, if you're willing to fess up, do you do this too? Please tell us. If you've got any stories as amusing as well, I think we've got, or even more amusing, perhaps, or even more amusing and awkward, please share them because we'd love to feel better about us. Share the stories.
I still have words in English I avoid because I can't pronounce them, which is very embarrassing. But they're always, I think when in other languages, there are always sounds that you will be struggling with because those sounds might not exist in your own language. So I think that's probably a language barrier thing that I'm never going to learn to roll on an R, for example, because we literally don't do it in Danish. It's very flat and we just don't do it. And I cannot for the life of me do that. But it is funny because I know that, in surveys and so on, we and from science, we know that a child is literally born with the ability to be able to say and utter every single sound. But as we grow up and we learn to use only certain sounds, we kind of forget how to roll or hiss or sigh or what click or whatever we can do with our mouths and our vocal cords. And in a way, we limit ourselves a little bit vocally because we grow up with a certain language and therefore certain sounds. And I think that's why we also hear, just to pick an example, Frenchmen struggling with the letter H because it's just not a part of their vocabulary.
Yes, I think that's very important because even within the same language, when you get geographic variation, so I of course, although English is my first language, a lot of it is peppered with the way letters and similar are pronounced in Malaysia because of where I grew up. So I've never been able to soften my H's properly. So in fact, I just did it. The people have gently suggested in the past that I say H and I just can't do it. I have to say H.
Yes.
Yeah, and when people say, it's called H for a reason, I go, no, nonsense. If it wasn't meant to be H, they wouldn't have put a H in it. So it's H.
Oh, that's a great example. That is that a Malaysian thing? The H that
The,
sound.
the h sound is quite strong in a lot of Malaysian words. So if you just say, certainly when I was very young, when we were reciting the alphabet, it's the letter H. That's what it is. So I find it fascinating that the English pronounce it as if it's phonetically Aitch. So, but I've never been able to undo that. It's something I'm stuck with.
I didn't know that. H. I never noticed that, Andrew. I didn't know that. That's really good to know.
No, well, do you know, it didn't even occur to me until and also I frequently use the word stymied, which I'm beginning to nurse a suspicion should be pronounced stymied because I'm beginning to hear that a lot
Oh, okay.
around me. But
Don't use that
I've
every
always,
day.
yeah, no, it's not exactly an everyday word, but when you hear other people say, you have those moments where you go, "Am I doing this wrong?" And I'm
Oh,
not even a king, so I don't even have to worry nearly as much about this sort of stuff.
I've been saying this wrong all this time.
Yeah, yeah, but no, it's funny in a way. We all have these little struggles, don't we? And as you said at the beginning, the funny mental blocks that
Yeah.
make us just pause over words we shouldn't have a problem with. But
And I
but
think that, do you find, sorry, go on, Andrew.
no, no, after you, Jane.
No, I think all children probably, even if they don't stammer, they probably have a phase where they go through certain letters or combinations of letters that might be difficult for them.
Yeah, I think it's very possible. And yes, because I know it's a very complex subject. I'm massively oversimplifying it here, but all our brains are also wired up differently. And I would not be surprised if you looked at a classroom full of kids and a significant proportion of them will have certain letters or even words that their brains will just not engage with in the way that many of their peers do, just because that's how they're set up. And you could probably train that out of them, but it might be a bit of an uncomfortable process. It's a bit like that really old-fashioned thing where people used to say there should be no left-handed people. Let's teach them to write with their right hand when they're young, and it will solve the problem. I'm
Well,
so glad they don't do that anymore.
it's true. But I was just wondering because I've never had a stutter, but I remember having combinations of words that I found, like in Danish, we have a lot of words starting with the SK sound, either SK or SC. And that was leaning into that that was really hard. And then later on in English, the th sound, that very soft that we don't have either. That became very awkward. How do they say that?
These, they, that, yeah, yeah, no, that is a bit of a funny one.
But I think there were letter combinations that were somehow let us know, guys, as well, if you found this either in your own or in different languages, that because it's an interesting thing. If it's I mean, and as Andrew says, it is very individual, but it's also, I think, something that needs to be in a way trained into us to a certain degree, and then we gradually pick up as we grow older. And I also remember having this is a funny psychological thing about a stammer as well, because I don't remember this because I wasn't old enough, but my sister apparently, when she was growing up, had a little bit of a stammer on certain words. And
Mm.
my dad would pick up on this was before she started school, and he would get her to sit down, and she told me about this later. She sat down in his little office at home, and they would practice tongue twisters in Danish. And he was trying to be playful around it and, sort of play it into her and make fun of it and stuff like that. And I think she enjoyed it. And later on, believe you me, she learned how to speak. She learned very well how to speak. But she remembered there was a seriousness in it as well, that it was very important to him that she learned how to speak properly. And then later we asked him about that, because normally he wouldn't have bothered so much. She would probably have picked it up eventually. But I found out, and I didn't know about this, that he had an older brother, my dad, one of my uncles, who had a stammer as a child. And he was mocked terribly in school, not just by other children, but also sadly by some of his teachers for it.
Oh no.
And it was something my dad, of course, witnessed. So that was very deeply embedded in him, that he could not have a child that had that same problem, that she had to learn how to speak. And I just remember those little conversations that I don't think she suffered terribly. And I think she grew out of it very quickly. And she certainly didn't have a stammer when I grew up. I don't remember that at all. But I think it's something that sits in you, that if you have experienced that or seen another child in school maybe had that problem, that it's something that we must somehow get this out of you, or we must practice, or we must somehow get you to get this right somehow. That it's something that sits very deeply in you, this communication thing, because it is the first thing we do, isn't it? We talk to our little babies even before they learn how to talk, and we sing to them and so on, and we read stories to them and all of that. So
Mm.
it's a very fundamental thing to be able to speak, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, yes. Because yeah, yes, it is our primary method of communication. And yes, you're right. Because although we do other things and we have visual cues, it's always the word, the spoken word that is how we get our point across most easily. Uh,
True, true. It's really interesting. It's sometimes something you can make a bit fun of when you can't say certain words. You know those animals in English, Andrew, that run up and down trees like little bushy tails.
oh, I want to say squirrels.
Thank you.
Hope I've got it right. And
I can't say it. I literally cannot say that word in
oh,
English.
is squirrel a trick word for you? Yeah, I don't know about saying the words. That's not a problem, but grammatically, I struggle with the old rule of I before E except after C.
Yes,
I
that's
always invert them, always when I'm writing them out. Even though I know, I even catch myself. I'll be writing a sentence. You're going to use the word chief, so make sure you spell it properly, and then I'll get past chief and go. Nope. No, reverse. Let's try
But
that
it's not
again.
true. It's not entirely true that Rue licit. Sometimes it is.
No, there are exceptions, yes, just because English is frankly insane. If English was a person, it would be institutionalized just to keep it off the
Like, you
street.
know, all languages are. I so
Yeah.
don't envy people who have to learn Danish. It's impossible. And we never ever pronounce anything the way we say it. It's completely ridiculous. It shouldn't be a language.
Okay, that's good. So good because it's funny. I'd spoken earlier about because I can't help myself about Bertie's naval and air force background, and I realized I'd fallen into the classic trap of English language cultural dominance by referring to the Battle of Jutland, which I'm sure is going to make every good Dane wince because it's supposed to be called Jutland, isn't it?
Yes, yes. Oh, that's another thing. We don't have the D sound for the letter J. It's an E sound.
Oh, is it Jutland? Jutland or
Yulan. Yulan.
Jutland?
You
Jutland.
you
Ooh,
you
okay. I
have
need to practice this a bit more.
it's like with my name, you have an E sound before a vowel like an A. So you have EA, EA, EA becomes the pronunciation.
Oh, so Iena,
Yeah,
Iena.
yes. And then you can
Okay.
hear the because it's a female name, you can hear the E sound, the E sound, which is like a French sound at the end. So Iene in Danish. But the J is an E sound, which is very confusing.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes, it is. Although, mind you, again, that's merely a different. See, again, it's that accident of a historical accident of linguistic cultural dominance, I think.
I must learn to say SQU squeaks.
Oh, you see, that's just an evil word. Anything that begins with SQ is just,
You do that, squeaks.
yeah, squid, squirrel. uh,
I must eventually, guys, if you know a trick for me to practice saying the name of that animal, the little red one with the bushy tail, that animal,
Yes,
I,
yes,
I shall be very grateful because I don't know how to say it.
yes, and don't just put down easy wins like dance a bit, lean into it, sing it.
There must be a way, like when you practice mother, there must be a way to say that word. The word exists, so therefore someone made it up.
Yeah, actually, there's one thing I didn't trouble myself to find out, which was really lazy of me. But touching on the point you've just made, Jane, did Lionel Logue ever go down the route of writing out words phonetically so that they were easier? So, like for example, one suggestion I'd make with squirrel is maybe try spelling it Squirrel or something like that. I don't know if that would work.
Cool.
Does SCW work for squirrel? I don't. Maybe it doesn't.
Huh. Maybe that's yeah, isn't that old Monty Python joke who the bloke who can't pronounce is it the letter K?
Yes. Yeah. I think it's K.
That's that's really funny. Just replace the C with a K and you got it.
Yes.
There must be a trick. You're right. I don't know if he did that. He might have done, but he had some very good tricks up his. I need Lionel Logue, don't I? That's it. I need
I,
Lionel.
I think we all need Lionel Logue. He'd help me with my
Ages.
H's. I won't try this now. We'll be here for ages. So.
In Hartford, head of Hampshire.
Our, our hurricanes hardly ever happen.
Ever happen? That's one for you, Andrew. There you go.
I'll go away and practice that and see. See, I
I
have the opposite problem to a good Eastender. At least I have a H. For them, it just doesn't exist. It's not a thing.
see, we drifted off again, Andrew. Is there anything we haven't touched on in this film?
No, I think that was a very worthwhile drift because it touches at the heart of it's really, Bertie's effort to overcome this is really the heart of the story and all the people who are and the characters who are built around it. The only thing I was going to add was that I was interested to learn, and I get this from Wikipedia, guys, so bear with me, but the man who wrote the script and who did all the basic research behind it, David Seidler. I hadn't realized until Wikipedia told me that one thing that fascinated him about this entire story was that as a child he had had a stutter too. And it was a result, he said, of the awful things his family had gone through during the Second World War. So I I find it really, I mean, it's just great. You totally understand his motivations for looking into this story. But I think one reason it is so sympathetically written is because it's the story of a man overcoming a major speech impediment and all the things that caused it, written by a man who overcame a similar kind of thing, which had roots in a deep trauma. I think that's one of the things that makes it so special.
Oh, I didn't know that, Andrew. Thanks for sharing. That's actually wonderful. And of course that would, it's a very empathetic script.
Yeah.
It's very deep and wonderfully done. And even if he had, which he had, a good story and some great characters, but it's wonderfully written.
Yeah, and it really shows. And again, I'd say, guys, if you've never seen this film, do watch it.
Yes,
It touches on troubling subjects and it's set in a backdrop of dark times, but it really is quite a feel-good story
it is.
for all
And
that.
the friendship is just it's so warming, it's so heartwarming, the friendship between the two that's developing. And even in, they have their moments of disagreements as well, but they still have a great sense of sympathy towards one another, and they know that they need each other in a way.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah.
wonderful feel-good film set in a troubled time. But you definitely get the impression that they have tried to be as historically accurate as they could be. All events happened. And it also, I think, inspires you to actually go and listen to some of the original speeches by King George, because they're wonderfully done in the film, but also you listen to them differently after this film. You listen to his 1939 speech there in the radio as it's done in the film. You listen to it differently when you know what he had to overcome, and you also slightly rejoice that he managed to make his way through that, which was such a vital thing in in providing comfort. And as you said, Andrew, this was just the beginning of 5 very long years that we end the film just as the Second World War is about to start. But I think he managed to provide something that a lot of countries in the Western world needed during a very troubled, hectic time and a time of insecurity. And maybe that's also why when we see nowadays, troubled time, we see comfort in those dignified voices in a way, I think, or characters, that there is a calmness in them, whether they have a speech impediment or not, that is needed in troubled times. That when you carry that and um, when you literally invite to reflection, I think people respond to that.
Yes, I think you're right, and you're absolutely right. I feel about the need that there's always a need for voices like that in every age, and yeah, it was great that George V was one of those able to provide it at the time, and yes, I definitely want to go back and listen to those speeches again.
It was wonderfully done, this. Andrew, this was a fantastic story and a great
Likewise,
chat.
excellent choice, Jane. Thank you so much for this one. It
Guys,
was.
let us know your thoughts and what was your favorite scene or maybe line, or do you have facts about the film that we haven't touched on? That would be wonderful if you do. Maybe you've seen some documentaries or know about Lionel Logue or something like that. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us through this one. And yeah, we really welcome any thoughts you have, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. But Jane, thank you so much for this. And guys, thank you for listening. It's been absolutely amazing.
Thank you, Andrew, and see you all next time.
Yep, see you soon. Bye.